in there, but thank you for releasing them, Raoul. You know, you are the professional. I didn't go to school for it, so who am I to judge, you know? Yeah, so I have been married 13 years. Thank you. Happily for 6. There's some ups and downs, but you know what? I made a promise to God, and I plan on going to heaven, and the rest of you can fuck off, okay? Because I'm on the list. I'm on the list. No, I do feel kind of like right now in America, like the most celebrated woman is the divorced woman. You know, everyone's like, good for her. She kicked it to the curb, and she lost all that weight, and Single Moms Club, and that's all well and good. But what about the woman that's stuck with a fat fuck for 35 years? You know? Why isn't she getting any props? I mean, isn't she kind of like the unsung hero of America? I mean, come on. I was watching this thing on the news, and I love it when they do those stories when the soldiers come home, you know, and there was this Marine, and he came home and he surprised his son on the football field. And then they said, and earlier in the day, his wife greeted him at the airport. And she was not a bad-looking woman, so I don't mean to sound like a bitch, but she showed up in like a greasy ponytail and an ill-fitting sweatshirt. I'm like, really? Your hot Marine just did 18 months in Afghanistan. Like, you can't get a blowout and slap on some lip gloss? Come on! No wonder our soldiers come out home depressed. It's like, God, step it up, wife. Seriously. My husband fixed the water pressure on our kitchen sink, and I blew him. That's what I'm doing for America, okay? He's not killing terrorists, making it safe for us to live, you know? But it was really drippy, and then it was really strong. And I just wanted him to know that I appreciated it, because it really made a difference. My husband, I love him, but he's cheap. And I want to tell the girls that are maybe dating someone who's cheap or you're newly married, it doesn't matter how well you do. If your husband is cheap, he's cheap for life. It's a genetic gene. I figured it out. My husband and his sister and his mother are all carriers. There's nothing you can do about it. You just got to roll with it to make the life, you know, better. And but there is a bright side. If your husband is like mine and insists that you share a fountain drink at a Panda Express, why would you buy 2? I mean, they're like $1.73. What are you, crazy? No one's going to say anything when you fill it up twice and ask for 2 straws. I mean, okay, fine. You don't want the kids to go to college? Whatever. Be frivolous. Lose the house. So, if your husband insists that you share a fountain drink at a Panda Express, ladies, there's an excellent chance that he will never spend $1,000 on a hooker. I'm just saying. Let's look on the bright side. And let's keep these families together. Can we do that for America? Can we? We have 3 kids, and the other day, we wanted to do something fun together as a family, so we decided to go to Chipotle. But the problem was my husband had 2 coupons, but you're only supposed to use 1 per family. So we had to pretend like we weren't a family. I swear to God. I wish I was making this up. I went with my daughter. We waited for like a stranger or 2 to come behind us. And then as we're going through the burrito line, we're like, don't look at each other, you know. And then we sat at 2 different tables just doing something together, but not really together. And then my son forgot, and like halfway through the burrito bowl, like tried to tell my daughter something, and she's like, no, Drake, we're not supposed to know each other. What Dad did was illegal. He's going to be arrested. We're going to go to jail. He's going to lose the house. No. Like, nice childhood memory. The girl is going to have like post-traumatic stress disorder every time she sees some salsa now. Great. Then my husband said to me, he goes, so this box of condoms is about to expire, so you want to do something about it or what? I'm like, I don't know. I'm so wet right now. I don't know if I can control myself. When you talk to me like that so sexy, it's just so horny now. I'm like, you know, there's some half and half in the fridge that's about to expire. You want me to make a pot of coffee? We can drink that while we bone? Because I don't want to waste anything ever. Let's eat all the food in the house before we ever shop again. God forbid. And we have 3 kids, and I guess we're done. We probably should be done, you know? You know when you see those families that rolled the dice and went for the 4th, and you're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have had the 4th. You know what I'm saying? But I still kind of play with the idea. Like, I'm always like, God, you know, if I find out my friends are pregnant, or I see little babies, you know, or I watch that show, I didn't know I was pregnant, you know, where they go through the entire pregnancy not knowing that they're pregnant. A woman just gave birth to like a now 9-pound baby. I hear stories like that, and I get jealous. I'm like, well, why can't I be fat enough to have a cramp, go to the hospital, and come home with a baby? I would love that. Like, you don't have to worry about, like, God, am I too old, or can we afford it, or do I have to give up alcohol? You didn't know you were pregnant, you know? Everybody's happy for you after the fact. You're like, what happened? You're like, well, one day I had to take a big shit. Turned out my shit had a face. There's my baby. That's a little gift from God. The Lord works in mysterious ways. And there's so many shows on TV right now about babies or Teen Mom or like the Duggards, you know, they're like 19 and counting or 21 and counting. That's that family with all those kids. And what kind of freaks me out about Michelle Duggard, the mother, it's not her horrible perm or her bad bangs. It's that she's got that weird Christian voice that always kind of freaks me out when like a woman my age sounds like that. You know, she's like, well, something that Jim Bob and I like to do is we make sure that we always go on date night twice a week. We always have a date night. We've never missed it. We always have those date nights. It's like, maybe you should cut out the date night, whore, okay? I think you've had enough date nights. Let's curtail it back. You got 21 kids, you know? Close up the legs. Let's... Seriously. So, I'm actually Catholic, and thank you. And we send our kids to Catholic school, and I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a lapsed Catholic. We don't go every Sunday. We only go to church when I need to pray for something really important for myself. Or have like a really great outfit to wear, you know, because going up for communion is like a little runway. It's like... But, you know, and we came from one of those families that was like, I would say to my mom, why don't you ever go to confession? She's like, well, I just feel like, why waste the priest's time when you're perfect? You know what I mean? So, when you send your kids to Catholic school, let me warn you guys, it's not that great. It's like having a bunch of little narcs running around the house. It's like, oh, you said a bad word. You broke one of the 10 Commandments. It's like, oh, fuck you. Shut up, you nerd. Go read your Bible on your iPad. Beep, beep. Like, then my son, the older son, he's my least favorite. I'm not saying forever. Right now, pretty annoying. Not the one you want to take to the mall. You know what I mean? When Lent started, he said to me, he goes, Mom, what are you going to give up for Lent? I'm like, God, I don't know. I've never given up anything for Lent. And I learned from my mother, you know, why bother? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, well, I talked to my teacher, and she said it has to be something that you have every single day that's a real sacrifice. I know, Mom. You should give up Chardonnay. I'm like, Jesus does not expect you to give up your medication, okay? I don't know what that school's teaching you, but I'm pretty annoyed that I'm paying for. It's like, And then my other son, he's really outgoing. He's like, whenever we watch The Voice, you think he can dance, he just starts singing and dancing and going crazy, which means one of two things. He's either gay or, well, he's gay. But then my friend was like, you don't know for sure, you know, she didn't want me to get my hopes up. Obviously, I have 2 sons. I need at least one of them to grow up and be gay. Who else is going to take me to brunch every Sunday 20 years from now, okay? It's about my joy and my happiness. You think I want some little slut that's that's going to stick my son with 18 years of unwanted child support, or a fabulous twink boyfriend that wants to take me on a cruise and shopping? I mean, when I think about my life in my late 50s, a gay son is the way to go. Let's face it, you know? So then my friend is like, you don't know, you'd just be going through a stage. What kind of music did your older son like at that age? And I thought about it. I was like, well, mostly Mexican, because we were going through a lot of remodeling at the time, and he just really took to it. At 6 in the morning, he's like a cucaracha. He's dancing around. But it's kind of annoying, because it's like, whenever you turn on the TV, it's always some other A-list actress who's just had a baby, and they act like they're the only people that have ever given birth, and you're like, no, a couple other people have done it, So, Drew Barrymore was on the other day, and she's pregnant. She also had a baby, and she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. I can't. Seriously, it's amazing. I cannot believe I'm a mother. It's so surreal. It's such an incredible blessing. And we named her Olive because she is just a little olive. And I'm like a huge dork, so now I'm like a dorky mother. But it's truly a miracle, much like the movie I did called Big Miracle, which is about whales being trapped under the sea in Alaska during the 80s. And it was just such a special film. Get it on Blu-ray. It was really a special cause. Something very dear to my heart. And I'm just thrilled. I'm a sommelier now. Yes, I have a winery, Barrymore Wines. It's just a blend of Pinot Grigios and Sauvignon Blancs. But it's totally fun that I drink now, because I went to rehab, but that was when I was 9, and it was for cocaine. So it's completely fine. Thank you. It's amazing. And then I saw that she had her own cosmetic line called Flower Cosmetics. You can get it at Walmart. And I was like, well, I can see why she had to do that, because she was the spokesperson for CoverGirl, but then they let her go. And I know why, because the commercials were like, new Lash Blast Mascara. With 50% more bristles, it's a stroke of genius for big, bold, easy breezy, splash-proof lashes. And don't forget your lipstick lip stain. How do you ask? It's not a lipstick. It's a lip stain that orbs instantly into your lips for looking so sophisticated. Get it in stores now. I'm like, who the fuck wrote this copy? Do they not know who their spokesperson is? I mean, seriously, you could write around the S's. My God. Poor thing, it's horrible. I recently wrote this article where I came out and admitted to the world that I do not breastfeed my sons. Everybody relax. They're tall, they don't have earaches, and my tits still look great. Everybody wins, okay? Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. But I knew at the time it was like a total taboo, So I'd be like at a cafe and my son needed to eat, so I'd like put a blanket over my shirt, and then I'd shove him under there and put like the Similac bottle like in between my tits, and then the waitress would come over and I'd pretend like he's biting my nipple. I'd be like, oh, it's okay. It's okay, it's for my son, it's brain food, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then I'd be like, oh shit, now I can't order a margarita. Like I finally had my one night out of the house. It was like, so annoying. And then there's a big thing happening right now called attachment parenting. I don't know if you guys know about it, but basically it's like you carry your baby around in a satchel strapped to your body, like an African villager till they're about 9 years old, and you end up divorced and with scoliosis. I'm like, really? Is that what we're doing now? Because I personally, being a mom in LA, I get a lot of shit because I vaccinate my kids. Sorry, I don't want them to get polio, so fuck off. I mean, honestly. What is the alternative? Homeschooling them? I can't even get through 10 words of spelling. Like, I can't teach them about photosynthesis. I mean, I don't know what's up with that. I mean, they'll ask me for something, and I'm like, hold on, let me go to the bathroom. And then I, Googled on my phone. And I'm like, no, that's not the capital of Alabama, dum-dum. God. So I'm at this party with these other Hollywood moms, and the word gets out that I do vaccinate my kids. And all these women start coming up to me, and they're like, oh, my God, Heather, I'm just really surprised that you vaccinate your children because that's so unhealthy for them. And you've really got to spread those shots apart because otherwise they'll get another line. Woo! It can really change their personality. And have you looked into a gluten-free diet? Have you? Because wheat's the new enemy. It really is. I'm like, I think I know how you lost your baby weight, bitch, okay? And it wasn't doing downward dog unless you're sniffing lines of cocaine off the wood floor. You're a freaking hypocrite. It's like, oh, my God. So I have two boys, and I'm talking kind of to the moms of sons here. I don't know if you guys experience this. But as a mother of sons, I have this little thing I call little girl envy. And it usually happens when we're at a restaurant, and I look over at a family that has kids my son's age, but they're girls. And they're sitting there, and they're coloring within the lines. And they're like, may I have some more fruit, Mother, please? And that's usually when my sons have now taken the silverware and are like trying to like kill each other with it. We were at a P.F. Chang's. My son climbed over the tall booth into a stranger's booth, stole their fortune cookie, was like out in the parking lot before I knew what happened. I'm like, oh, this is a fun night. Glad we went out. So at my school, they said, we're going to do a seminar on how boys and girls learn differently. We've kind of figured it out, and you should come. And this guy had written a book on it. He was some professor, and he goes, the reason they learn differently is because the male and the female brain are built completely differently. A woman's brain is like a multi-level highway. She can do many things at once. She can multitask. And a man's brain, in contrast, is like a sad two-way street. Just don't interrupt him. Let him finish one task at a time. Write it down. Show him. I was like, okay. So they're like, if you have a boy, you should sit him in the front of the class. Sunlight should stream in. He should have plenty of water. Every 2 hours, you have to feed him. Just every 2 hours, just throw some food at him, because otherwise his personality could change on a dime. And embrace weapon play, because even if you give them Barbies, they will end up hitting the shit out of each other with them, okay? They will make a gun out of a chicken nugget. Just embrace it. Well, and then the final thing they said, and 99% of all men hear better in one ear, and it's usually their right ear. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So they actually retain the information if you sit next to them and talk into that ear versus looking across from them. I don't know if they get distracted by our tits or what, but, every time that I've been like, look at me, it doesn't matter. So a couple days later, my husband's driving us to San Diego, like a nice little trip and a weekend trip. And I look over and he's driving. And I'm like, oh, there's that right ear. Sunlight streaming in. He's got a thing of water. He just enjoyed a granola bar. I'm like, this could be like a great time to have like a really meaningful conversation with him. So I said, honey, I was thinking, if I died and all my friends were single, which one of them would you want to marry? And some people kind of groan, and it's like, look, I know which friend of his I'd want to sleep with. We've all thought about it. It's a 3-hour drive. Can we have a juicy conversation or not? I mean, come on. We don't have trust issues. Who gives a shit? Come on. So he says to me, he goes, Heather, if you died, I am never, ever getting married again. I'm just so fucking tired. Is that a compliment? That is not a compliment, okay? And then I got kind of pissed. I'm like, oh, really? You're tired? I am the one who should be freaking tired, okay? Because my husband snores, and he doesn't just snore. He's actually been diagnosed with sleep apnea. And I know this for a fact because I don't mean to brag, but we do have health insurance. He spent the night at the university, and they came back. They're like, he has sleep apnea, which means he actually stops breathing in between the snores, which is like pretty serious. So he comes home and he gets like this apparatus that looks like he's out of the movie of Alien or something. And I'm like, okay, well, good, you know, like put it on, let's, you know. And he's like, oh, fuck that shit. I'll just have another bottle of red wine and a cigar. He does this thing where it's like he goes around the asshole, separates the balls, and does like a dog leg jiggle. This started like 2 years ago. I'm like, what, did your asshole just get itchier in the marriage? Because I don't remember you doing this. He's like, I'm like, have you had a cold for a decade? Get a neti pot. What the fuck? Can't handle the clearing of the throat. So this is basically any given night that I'm about to go to sleep. I lay my head on the pillow. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, fuck, it's starting. Fall asleep, Heather. Fall asleep. Fall asleep, you dumb bitch. Fall asleep. You got 3 seconds to fall asleep. Fall asleep. Oh, God. Why did you stay up late to watch The Housewives? You have to fall asleep before him. You have to fall asleep before him. Oh, God. I don't want to go on the couch. I don't know where the sheets are that fit that thing and pulls out. And God damn it. Is it wrong to take NyQuil when you don't even have a cold? Is Dr. Drew going to come to my house and be like, you know what, now you're addicted to NyQuil. You've taken it 17 days in a row. We got you a place that promises. Joe, what about Amy Winehouse? Is she mad that I used to make fun of her? I'm sorry. It was just a really good impression and we owned the wig. I'm sorry. I am telling you, in between the snores, I have decided what I'm going to wear to the funeral. I'm going with a simple black wrap dress. I'm not going to go with these shoes. They're a tad garish. My husband did just die. I'm going to do with like a simple wedge. It'll be better for the grass and the burial. And then I don't care what my mother says. I'm going with the pre-made deli sandwiches. I think it's weird when someone has to make their sandwich from scratch. Like, they're in mourning. It's weird. You're stuck with the Russian dressing and the yellow bread. It's in your fridge for a year, reminding you of the death. Like, I have frickin' thought of everything. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I could really use a sister wife. Like, I get it, you know? Who am I to judge your lifestyle, you know? Not just to sleep with my husband on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but just to help with, like, the homework and stuff, you know? Because I'm not good with the arts and crafts, and you know those Mormons know their way around a glue gun, and I don't know how to cut felt and all that shit. Like, it's awful. God. And it's like, it's just hard. Like, the other day, my son, the younger one, called me into the bathroom in a panic, and he's like, Mommy, come here. I'm like, what's wrong? And he's sitting on the toilet, and he goes, look, Mommy. And I look between his legs, and there in the toilet bowl is a Hot Wheels car parked between 2 giant shits. And he's like, Mommy, you gotta get it, please, Mommy, please. It's my favorite one, Mommy. It's got the lightning bolt on the side. Please, I'm sorry I dropped it. Please, pretty Mommy, please. You're the prettiest, pretty Mommy. Please, Mommy. Disgusting. Now, obviously, any woman in my position would call for the husband to help out and fish out the Hot Wheels car. But on this particular day, I didn't have that luxury. Because my husband was out golfing, which can go anywhere from 3 to 13 hours. Why that game takes so fucking long, I don't know. Also, ladies, you know there's no cell reception on any golf course in all of North America. So it doesn't matter if you're texting, email, AT&T, Verizon, nothing works. And I'll be like, I tried to call you. He's like, oh, really? I guess on the 9th hole. I don't know what happened. So my son is traumatized. I'm like, you know what, Heather? You are the mother. You signed up for it. Like, just get the car out, you know? So I got a ladle, and I'm like, you know, horrible. A couple hours pass. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, get on with our lives. And my husband walks in. I'm like, hey, did you go to Hole in One or Scrabble or Par 6 or whatever? Because you've been hungry. I whipped up some soup for you. I don't know. Got a little black bean organic. I don't know if you're hungry. I'm like, well, you know, you're gone all day. At least tell me what is going on with Joe's divorce. And he's like, we don't talk about stuff like that. For 7 hours? Let me tell you something. I talked to this Joe for 4 minutes at a kid's birthday party. I found out that his wife was addicted to Oxycontin, okay? He put a tracking device on the top of a Range Rover and found out that it was parked every day at her trainer's house, Kevin, for 4 hours a day, and she gained weight. That's the kind of shit I bring home to the party, okay? And you know when you have Juicy Scoop for your husbands, they eat it up like a sorority sister. They're like, really? What? Oh my God, why'd she say that? Why did they invite you out to dinner? That was rude. Did you see her post? I don't know about, like, yet they don't reciprocate. It's like, what? All he does is come home with a sunburned face. Like, thanks a lot, Santa Claus. How's golf enhancing my life at all? This is bullshit. Everyone always talks about marriage. Oh, who's getting married? Who's getting married? And people are obsessed with when Jen Aniston's going to get married. And we get all the magazines, you know, every week. It's like, when are they going to get married? Oh, she's pregnant with twins, you know. But I just saw her on the interview, and she's like always matter of fact about it. She's like, no, we are good. We are great. No, Justin and I were raising our own chickens and making our own omelets from scratch. We're good. We're great. Yeah. Yeah, I've got my Aveeno skincare, my Smart Water, and a really great hair serum. I am good. I am great. Yeah. It's got the dogs. We're going to Mexico. I like a really great margarita and I like to do my yoga. I'm good. I am great. Russ! Oh, so... I also have a beautiful stepdaughter, and she's beautiful. She's actually half Vietnamese, so yes, I do enjoy the free foot massages every other weekend. Thank you. Now I get them all the time because she lives with us full time, and you know, even though she lives with us, her mom will still call and leave me a million messages about how to feed her. And and with 2 days, I'll get 6 messages that go something like this. Hi, I'm Mackenzie Mom. I'm just calling to make sure that you give Mackenzie broccoli. She likes the healthy food. She likes the healthy broccoli. Don't you just give a hot dog and popcorn like you give to your boy. She likes the healthy food. She likes the healthy broccoli. And you make sure it's fresh, not frozen, neither. And you can afford it. You can afford it. You tell Peter he can afford it. And you cut up all the little pieces. Too much so not good. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good for my Mackenzie. She likes the healthy food. She likes the healthy broccoli, babe. I'm like, fuck, I get it. She likes the broccoli. Like, give a stepmother a break. And because I am the stepmother, and we've been like villainized in every Walt Disney movie ever created, I really go out of my way, like, to be really nice. She has the biggest room. Every morning, I'm like, hi, would you like some scrambled eggs or some chocolate chip pancakes? Good, leave me alone. I don't know if any of you have a 14-year-old daughter in your life or girl in your life, 14-year-old girl, but mine doesn't listen or speak, so it's like living with Helen Keller. It's a real blast. And so, you know, I'm like, hey, personality plus, you know, can you just like crack a smile? So she had this big science project due, and my husband and I kept going, can we help you? It's a big part of your grade. No, just shut the door. Leave me alone. So she gets it back, and she gets a C+. And, because it's a completely average, unoriginal science project. She took 3 plants, 3 different waters, tapped, distilled, and bottled, and saw which plant flourished most. I had a great idea for an original science project, but nobody asked the stepmother. Mine was, you take tampons, you soak it in 3 different kinds of vodka, and you shove it up 3 different sized women, and you see who gets drunk the fastest. Now that is an original science project that has not been done to death. Like, can't you just see the little board thing, and you compare Belvedere to Ciroc, flavored versus not, how tall the girl is, how long she kept in it. I've got 3 girls back in my office that would have been a test subject on any given Tuesday, okay, But no, don't ask me, I'm just a stepmother. Ooh. I don't know, I'm not looking forward to these teenage years that we're in. There was this one story when I was in Catholic school, and in the Bible, I don't know if you guys know it, but it kind of bothered me as a kid, but it really bothers me as a mom. And Jesus was about 13, and he'd wandered off for like a day. Mary had no idea where he was. And she was very worried. She finally found him, and for the first time, he was preaching to the elders in the temple. And she said, Jesus, I didn't know where you were. I was so worried about you. And he looks at her, and he says, woman, don't you know who I am? I'm like, if I was Mary, I'd be like, yeah, Jesus, I know who you are, okay? I gave birth to you without ever having sex, let alone an orgasm, all right? In a manger with hay up my ass, no epidural, 3 strange men I didn't know from Adam who insisted on being there for the birth. Like, that wasn't a little awkward. No, I don't need any myrrh. Yeah, Jesus, I know who you are. I was just a little worried. I mean, even Jesus, as a teenager, was a bit of a prick. I'm just saying. It's not sacrilegious. He was human. Everyone relax. Right now, my sons are in that stage, that horrible stage, organized sports. Talk about fucking up a girl's weekend. It's like pretty much praying that neither of them succeed at anything. It's like, no, I don't really want to get in an RV and go to, Bakersfield with a traveling soccer team. No, I don't. I hope you lose. I really do. It sounds awful. And, but this one thing happened one time at a soccer game. My sons have my husband's last name, which is Tobias. But I'm known as Heather McDonald. But I have Tobias on my license, like in case one, like an emergency, like one of them has to go to the emergency room, or I need my husband's credit card, like something really important. But I'm at the soccer game with my sons, and the team mom is like, okay, team snack today is Tobias. Tobias, do you know who Tobias is? I'm like, I don't know, I'm Heather McDonald. Some mom's got to get her shit together, because these kids were expecting their orange slices. Like, come on. Get an eye calendar. Like, what's your problem, Because, I just... I worry about my kids, growing up and not being grateful. I think we all can agree with that, living in America and everybody having so much. But I also know that I'm never going to wake up at 50 and look my kids in the eyes and say, I gave you the best years of my life. Because I didn't. Like, I'm out here with you guys. I'm traveling the country, getting felt up by strangers, drinking, shopping. It's pretty great. So... But, I try to teach them, to be grateful. And I say, you guys have no idea. There are kids in Africa that have no apps at all. Just imagine the horror of a blank iPad. What would you do on a car ride? So I try to teach them. But this one thing happened, and I didn't even plan on it, but we watched The Amazing Race with our kids, and the contestants were in India, and they were in the very poorest part of India, And my kids are kind of like taken aback. I'm like, I'm glad you're seeing this, because this is about how 1/3 of the world lives. Like, you guys are so lucky. Just the fact that you were born in America, you're blessed. So then a couple days later, my son started giving me some food. I'm like, could you please go brush your teeth? I'm doing it. God, you told me so many times, dude. And so I said to him, I go, you know what? I actually don't think I'm the best mom for you. I actually think you could do better. I'm just saying, I think you could do better. And I went on the internet and I found this site. It's like eHarmony for mothers and sons. Turns out you're a perfect match with a wonderful woman in India. And she has a son about your age named Rashid. And we talked, and Rashid's going to come over here and play with your Xbox and swim in your pool, and you're going to go over and play with his rocks and flies. And at first he was kind of freaked out, and he's like, no, I don't want to go, And then he got that I was joking. And then it kind of became this thing that he and my younger son would sort of tease each other. Like, if they're about to get in trouble, they'd be like, ooh, you're going to get in trouble. No, you're going to get in trouble. No, you're going to India. No, everyone's going to see you take a poo-poo bath with strangers. No, everyone's going to see your butthole in the middle of the street because there's no toilets. No, you're going to eat stinky rice with cows in the middle of the town. And it was just something fun, that we did in the home. Every family's different, And I didn't think much of it. And then one day I had to go to Bank of America, and I rarely go to the bank, anymore. And I had to go, and had the boys with me. I just put them near an empty loan officer's desk, and we just sit there. And I'm doing my business, and they start punching each other, but I don't turn around until there's blood. And they start punching each other, and it starts. Ooh, you're in trouble. No, you're going to India. No, you're going to India. Everyone's going to see your butthole because you're going to take a poo-poo bath with strangers. No, you're going to take a poo-poo bath with strangers in the middle of India. No, you are. And you're going to eat the stinky rice with the cow. And I look up, and every teller is clearly from India. And at that point, you just got to own up to it. And I'm like, I am so sorry. But whose kids are those? I mean, seriously. Awful. And then I had to, sneak out of there so they didn't see me abandoning them. And just, it's so... Because my worst is when, another parent thinks I'm a bad parent. Like, a parent tries to parent you. I think that's the worst. And we were in Costco, and my son was about 5 at the time. And this woman was, right next to us, and someone had bumped their cart into my son by accident. And he goes, what the fuck? And she looks at me, and I know what she's thinking. Obviously, he got the language at home. I'm a horrible mother. Should she call Child Protective Services? Does the child need to be removed and go into foster care? Everything's going through her head. So I just go, I am so sorry, but my son has Tourette's, okay? So I'm sure you can imagine what I go through having to raise a child like that. So empathy here from mother to mother. And then, she kind of was still, hanging around us during Costco. So then I was like, okay, listen. You're never going to say it again, but right now you're going to say fuck a few times. Twice by the grapes, and then by the roses, and then you're never, ever saying it again. She's watching, just go, fuck, grape roses. Fuck, grape roses, and then you're leaving, and then you're never, ever saying it again. Oh. Awful. I don't know if... I feel like this kind of happened to me about year 10 of my marriage, so I don't know if any of you guys have found it, but I found it, I became weirdly obsessed with shows like Snapped, Forensic Files, 48-Hour Mystery, Dateline, basically anything that deals with infidelity, killing one's spouse, and disposing of their dead body for insurance money. I cannot get enough of those shows, especially when it's about rich white people. I'm like, oh, give it to me. Like, I get a big glass of Chardonnay. My husband, DVRs it. He's like, there's a real good one tonight. It's 2 hours long. It's about a dentist. I'm like, oh, yeah. I love it. But a little tip to any of you that are ever thinking of offing your spouse, may I suggest, because I've watched enough of these, do not MapQuest where you're going to dump their dead body. Because I'm not that swift on the computer, but I'm like, woohoo, note to self, they track that shit back to your hard drive, okay? So buy a map in cash from a place with no surveillance cameras. I'm just saying. Also, ladies, do not schedule your boob job for the day after your husband's funeral. It also does not bode well for the defense. But my favorite stories are the ones, I think they're on Dateline. It's when Keith Morrison, he narrates it. He's the guy with like the fluffy white hair, but then they try to hip him up with like a chocolate leather jacket. And he tells the story and he's like, it was an unusually cold October evening in this sleepy Midwestern town when the doorbell rang at 9:15. A little late for visitors, perhaps a lost pet, or something far more sinister. I'm like, oh, I think it's so exciting. Nothing pisses me off more, though, than I'm about halfway through, and I'm like, oh, God, I saw this one. This is just like a 10-minute update on an appeal at the end. Screw you, Dateline. How dare you trick me like that? Is no one new killing their spouse? Like, what's up? I also love Nancy Grace. Because Nancy Grace, something happens with Nancy Grace where she will get a hold of a story that no one else is even reporting on, and she will do like 78 episodes on this same missing person. And about a year ago, a couple of us from work were going to go to Mexico, to Cabo. And, there's been a lot of crime there and everything. So, of course, I tell my mom, and she's a bit of an alarmist. And she's like, you can't go to Mexico. They decapitate you the minute you get off the plane. I'm like, no, Mom, I think we'll be okay, And so, but then I start to think about it. I'm like, what if something did happen to me while I'm on this trip? And then Nancy Grace gets a hold of the story. And every time you turn on HLN, she's like, where is this missing mother of three? Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this question because I find it perplexing, okay? Is it appropriate that a married mother of three be wearing a bikini around her coworkers? I don't think so. Where is this missing mother of three? Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this one question because you are the expert in the field, and then we're going to go to break. This woman, Heather McDonald, is holding a huge glass of Chardonnay on the cover of one of her books. Obviously, she's an alcoholic. Where is this missing mother of three? Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this one question, then we're going to go to break. Because I find it perplexing and it is disturbing, okay? Obviously, this woman probably woke up in a sun-drenched, drunken haze and is wandering the streets of Mexico with drug cartel all around. Maybe this woman is so stupid she deserved to be kidnapped. I don't know, but what I do know is I'm the only one who is asking, where is this missing mother of three, and why am I the only one who is looking for her? Oh, can you imagine? All the free publicity that I could get from that. I do occasionally get recognized, and I love it. And I was at a Starbucks recently, and right here in LA, but it was one I had never been to before. We have more than one. And so I was looking down at my phone as I'm waiting, and the barista goes, Heather, what can I get for you? And I go, oh, God, thank you. I'll have a turkey bacon sandwich and a latte, and here's a couple dollars for you. Thanks for not canceling your cable. Really appreciate that. I know it's been a tough economy. Thanks for watching. And she's like, Heather, what can I get for you? I'm like, I'm good. I can wait. I'm fine. Again, she's like, Heather, what can I get for you? I'm like, hey, stars are just like us, you know? I can wait. And then I realized she's saying, hey there, what can I get for you? To every single person that walked into the Starbucks. I'm like, oh, okay, now who feels like a big a-hole? Okay. And I was at Target the other day, and I don't mean to brag, but there's one like really close to my house, pretty convenient. And I was there, and these two teenage boys kept looking and whispering at me, and obviously, you know, I do look a lot younger than I am, but after a while, I'm like, sorry, I can't go to prom with you. And then I kind of panicked because I realized I was wearing a red shirt and tan pants, which is not the outfit you want to wear when you're shopping at Target. Because they're not like really strict with the uniform. You can kind of make it your own, like do a capri pant or like a collared shirt or just a simple V-neck. So I'm like, oh, fuck, they're going to ask me where the Swiffers are, you know, like. And then, you know, they keep looking, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe they know me from stand-up or what, you know, and finally they're like, Celine? And let me tell you something. I know I look like Celine Dion because people tell me at least once a week, oh, you know, you look like Celine Dion. And, you know, she's an amazing talent, a great singer. But can we all agree she's kind of a geek? Like in every interview, she's like, you know, we got a puppy. And you know, my son, Renee, he used to have such long hair, and I used to say, honey, let me cut it, open up your fist a little bit, sweetheart. But he said, no, you know why? Because he's 9 and he makes his own decisions. And that's the way it is. That's the way it is. You know, I just gave birth to twins. I did, yes. And when they graduate from high school, my husband, Renee, will be 103. But Renee, he is my everything. And you know, when we make love, I have to get on top because he has a heart condition. But it is amazing all 3 times a year. Because I'm his lady. I drove all night. I'm trying to act like rock and roll now. So my husband and I, we went to go see her at Caesars, and you know, she sang great, and she was beautiful, well, obviously, because she looks like me. And, but you tried to be funny, like in between the songs. She'd be like, oh, well, you know, now I have 3 boys. Actually, 4. Oh, shut up. Like big old fat Renee's like her 4th son. It's like, we all remember when you were 12 and he was 50 and you went on your first date. Like, that wasn't freaking weird. We just forget about that. So, the other day my agent called me and he's like, hey, do you want to do this gig, this private gig? And when you're a stand-up, you sometimes do like corporate events or private parties. And they pay very well. The only kind of hitch is that you have to incorporate who you're performing for into your stand-up. So, like, if I was doing an accounting firm, I'd be like, oh, Brad and his calculators, am I right, ladies? And then everybody nudges each other. Oh, she's talking about Brad. That's funny. And not every gig can be a cool, you know, North Hollywood Valley crowd like I like here, you know. Catholic school doesn't pay for itself, people, okay? You got to do what you got to do. And so I said, well, yeah, I want to do it. What is the event? He goes, well, they want to make sure that you do adult humor. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not like doing balloon animals. Why? And he's like, well, it's a swingers convention. And I'm like, oh, like swing dancing? Or like, no, like swingers. And I'm like, okay, no offense to the swingers who are in the audience tonight. This crowd, this foursome right here. And because you guys are all attractive, and I'm sure you get it on and have fun. But I everything I've ever seen on Swingers, like a documentary, it is like the oldest hippies with the worst bodies, and they're like balls hanging low, and they're like, hey, you know what? It's just really about trusting your partner. You're getting out the futons, and I light the tiki torches, and it's a kind of a potluck, and we just really explore each other's bodies, and we call it adult play. We like to adult play and really get to know each other. Yeah, it's really about having a great time in the summer. I'm like, oh my God, what if I took this gig? What kind of material am I supposed to come up with? Hey, ladies, you know when your neighbor is doing you from behind and your other neighbor walks into the foyer and you realize you forgot to return that casserole dish? Awkward, am I right, ladies? Hey, ladies, you know when you're dropping off your child at his elementary school and you see your friend and you're like, hey, Jill, I really enjoyed having your husband stick up my asshole. The next time I'm bringing the cheesecake, yes, I am. And it's not like I'm a prude, okay? My husband and I watch our porn, Spartacus, and it's pretty good. It's like porn with a history lesson. I mean, some shit went down. It's pretty good. But, you know, we're parents, and we have to be responsible and kind of plan for sexy time. You know, we've got to make sure that the Benadryl is really set in. We don't want to be woken. And I like fantasy, so like in the very first part of our marriage, we used to do that whole Kobe Bryant girl to Colorado Inn thing. Remember that? And I'd be like, here's your minibar, Mr. Bryant. What? And that was fun. But pretty soon you got to come up with some new material. And so, you know, now we do like Teenage Hitchhiker or He's a Doctor and I Don't Have Insurance. I think it's time for my breast exam, or what about that Pepsi? Can you help me? It's been 6 months. Is the free clinic or not? Or I like to do, like, we play The Bachelor, where we pretend like, you know, he's the bachelor and our bedroom is a fantasy suite, and I have to fuck him better than the other two girls in order to get the final rose in the Neil Lane ring. And then, like, halfway through the bone, I'm like, I'm really not here for the right reasons. I actually want to come in second, become the Bachelorette, get on Dancing with the Stars, then get on the cover of People, then get a job on Entertainment Tonight. He's like, oh, my God, stop talking. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that you're not an actor and you can't appreciate what I'm doing. This is an improv. I'm adding to the backstory. Like, God, take a character study class. Like, whatever. Because, see, my husband is not an actor. He's a mortgage broker. So he's been a little depressed these last 6.5 years. But I came up with this one scenario that works really well, where I pretend to come to his office for a loan. But I have really bad credit. So then he has to show me how to raise that FICO score. Oh, yeah, get it up to 780. You can do it. But what about my 30-day late at Nordstrom? What are you going to do, Christian Grey? What are you going to do? Oh, so fun, you know? Because I don't think I could be single, you know? Because, for one, I would need my husband's help to upload my photos on Match.com. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. That would be awkward. I can't compete with these sluts today. I really can't. What am I going to do? Have to take a picture of my vagina 2 minutes after meeting some guy on the internet while I'm in the carpooling? Hold on, let me just... met this guy at a bar. Seems like he'll really like me, and send it to him. Whatever. Gross. I mean, good for you, 20-year-old sluts. You know, I appreciate it, but... No, because I was reading Cosmo the other day, and I'm like, I've read that magazine my entire life. I was reading, and I'm like, you know what, Heather? Maybe the ship has sailed. Maybe it's time you pick up a red book, you know? Because I'm reading it, and I'm like, no, going through all the articles. I'm like, don't really need to read another article on tips about what to do with the space between my husband's balls and his asshole. I didn't even know that was a thing. You know, I'm like, you don't introduce something new a decade in. You know, like I said, good for you, sluts. You know, learning new tricks, keep your nose to the grindstone. Stay competitive. Good for you. It's hard out there. You know? One thing I kind of noticed as I turned 40 is I do have something kind of special. It's what I like to call a vagina armpit. I don't know if anybody else has one. Mine is like a little vagina. Anybody, ladies? It's like a little soft vagina. It's waxed, just like everybody likes them. Just two little vaginas. Some women have one. I have three. And I just try to look on the bright side of itching. And yeah, I went out with my friend the other day. And it was her birthday. I have still some single friends. And why is it, girls, that you can dance all night long, you do the booty drop, the whole thing, and the minute you walk to your car, you're like, I have Parkinson's. I am now crippled. Happy birthday, but I'm a paraplegic. So thanks for the fun night, because I'm never walking again. Like, what the hell? Oh. So, I'm going to tell you this story, little intimate story about my family. We do this thing at my house. It's called a cookie party. You take those Nestle Toll House cookies that come in the little square pre-dough, stick it on a pan, and you stick it in the oven, come out. And you have a cookie party. It's pretty fun. I suggest you guys try it. And my husband started the cookie party 8:30 on a Monday night. Moms, can we agree that's a little late for a cookie party, okay? But you know what? I'm Heather McDonald. I can rock a freaking cookie party. I'm the coolest ass mom around. You know, like, okay, so fine. So while the cookies are cooking, I had to try on dresses for an event. And I was lucky enough to have some sent to me, so I wanted to wear one of them. But every single one I put on was like really short and booby and really tight. And I'd come out to have my husband zip me up, and he's like, I'm not even going to bother you. You look like a New Jersey housewife. Like, turn around. I'm like, okay. And so, you know, I was kind of having like one of those aha moments that you have at a certain age as a woman, where you realize there comes a time in a woman's life when the length of her skirt should exceed the length of her tampon string. You know what I mean? It's like, cover it up, old lady, you know? Ship has sailed. So I was down to like one dress that was like to here, not too booby, but it was like 2 sizes too small, but it was the appropriate style. So I whipped out my industrial strength Spanx that, I don't know, you women, some of them, the 20-year-olds don't know about it, the people over 35 do. It's like, it comes down to the legs. It's like biking shorts, comes around the back fat, over the whole thing. There's a slit so you can pee like this, because if you tried to take it down at a cocktail party, you'd be sweating. It's ridiculous. My husband saw it. He's like, are you going scuba diving? What the fuck is that? Did you book a trip to the Galapagos Islands I don't know about? What's happening here? I'm like, never mind. It like makes the dress look better. So, meanwhile, the cookies come out, and my husband tells my son, hey, don't take the cookies off the pan with a spatula until they've cooled, otherwise they'll break. I don't hear this. I come out. I'm like, who's ready for a cookie party? And I take the spatula, and the cookie breaks. And my son goes, God, Mom, you ruined it. You ruined the cookie party. Mom ruined the cookie party. Dad, the cookie party's ruined. And I just had one of those moments, like those women snapped. Where I was like, you will not cry over broken cookies when there are children in this world that don't even have clean water to drink, you ungrateful little shit! My head's spinning, I'm now sweating. I'm like, no, nobody gets cookies. And I take all the cookies and I throw them in the trash, and my other son would have eaten a broken cookie off the garage floor. He's like, what? What? So... And I'm like, go to your room. And this other thing that happened since I've turned 40 is if I go on a trampoline or yell at my son suddenly, I pee a little. And I'm like, go to your room. Go to your room. So my husband comes and I'm like, can you believe it? can you believe him? And he goes, well, you really should have waited for the cookies to cool first. I'm like, what kind of monsters are we raising? So then, 10 minutes passed. I walk by his room, and I hear him still whimpering about the broken cookie in his room. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I walk in there, and I go, really? Really? You're crying over a broken cookie? Oh, I'll give you something to cry about. And I saw this big Lego military ship that he'd been putting... Oh, shut up. Do you know how sick of these Legos I am? There are thousands and thousands of Legos. Do you know how many times I've stepped on them? I've got the scars on the bottom of my feet to prove it. They're rectangles with two little circles in them. You want to see it? It's not pretty. So I picked up that Lego ship. And I said, really? Gonna cry over broken cookies? Really? And then I looked up, and I saw my reflection in his mirror. And what I didn't share with you is that I was still wearing the Spanx contraption in the very flattering color of nude, with like a makeshift bun and some red heels, holding this military